Hey, how's it going, sixth graders? This is Mr. Miles, and today we are going to be doing a podcast that covers the introduction to vertebrates. And so, what we learned in class, we're going to talk about the vertebrates, and there's something special about them. Now, we know that vertebrate means a backbone, that these things are going to have backbones, but we're going to learn about exactly what kind of phylum they fall under. Remember, they fall under the phylum Chordata. Phylum Chordata. They're the chordates. And chordate, again, they're going to have three characteristics. One of those is with having the backbone. So let's talk about the three. Now, the first one they're going to have is they're all going to have notochords. The second thing they all have is a nerve cord. And the last one they're going to have is they're going to have a throat pouch. They're going to have a throat pouch. We'll talk about what each of these are. Now, a notochord, what that is the definition of the book says it's a flexible rod that supports a chordate's back. And the name chordata actually comes from the notochord. And for us, eventually what that is that's used for support. And for us, that'll actually become like the actual bone in our backbone. And so here you have like kind of a picture of a vertebrae looking down. You can see outside this is going to be hard, then inside here it's going to be hollow, and our nerves will run through there, and then this one comes actually from the notochord. Now you're also going to have a nerve cord, and what a nerve cord is, it runs down their back, and the nerve cord connects the brain to the rest of the body. And remember, connection is extremely important because your brain does everything. Remember, I said like anything that your body can interpret, from if it's cold outside to ouch that hurts, anything like that, that's all responsible for the nerve cord sending signals. Like there's certain signals taken in by like the skin, by your foot, by your arm, by your stomach, or even internally, and it sends those signals out to the brain and it interprets it, and it can interpret all different types of information, like your stomach saying it's hungry. Like if you have pain anywhere in your body, if you have muscle cramps, if somebody is like scratching you, it's your brain gets all this information from the nerve cord, and it gets sent up there. Now the other one is the throat pouches, and these ones are pretty interesting. At some point in their lives, chordates have pouches in their throat area. In fishes and lancelets, like the one shown in Figure 1, so if you're following on page 155, the grooves between these pouches will become gill slits. In most other vertebrates, the pouches disappear before birth. So you actually have throat pouches when you're still just an embryo, and these actually go away so you don't come out with gills. So yes, very interesting and very fun stuff with embryos as they develop into children and then into adults. Now, the other really important thing is to understand that all these are obviously going to have a backbone. And the backbone, pretty much how we split up is we split these things up into called vertebrae. It's like, let's say here's, and this is a really bad picture, here's your spine, and this is kind of how you think of it. Each of these bone individual pieces, these are going to be called vertebrae, each individual sections. And you might be familiar with this term if anybody's ever had any issues with their back. And yes, again, this is really important stuff, because if anything bad happens there, then it disrupts your brain being able to signal and tell everything what to do. It's like if you were to just unplug a mouse from a computer, obviously the mouse isn't going to do anything. It can't do anything because there's no connection between the two. And maybe someday this will actually let me change the page. There it goes. Now again, this is a really short one. The next one will probably be a little bit longer because we're going to use the animal groups, and we'll talk a little bit about those. But the last thing that's really important is body temp. Body temperature. Now, this is important to animals because, remember, they all want to maintain homeostasis. It's the magic word, because it means to maintain stable internal conditions. And body temperature is an extremely important internal condition that they're going to have to deal with, because they don't want to get too hot because they'll burn up. They don't want to get too cold because they'll freeze to death. Now, you're going to run into two different types of vertebrae. You're going to run into the ectotherms and you're going to run into the endotherms. Now the ectotherm, now remember we look here, ecto, Endo. And endo seems familiar because we remember endo when we were talking about endoskeletons. Oh, what is this? Oh, don't do that. We were learning about endo when we were dealing with exoskeletons and endoskeletons. Remember, we knew exoskeleton because it has the EX, the exit. And then, so if it's the opposite of exit, if it's on the outside, then endoskeleton must have meant it's on the inside. So if we looked at endotherm versus ectotherm, endo's talking about the inside, whereas ecto would then be the opposite, talking about the outside. Now, in an endotherm, these are what we are. They have the ability to regulate their temperature internally. They don't need any outside help with regulating their temperature, whereas an ectotherm, they do have a problem regulating their body temperature by themselves, and instead they have to use things like the sun or the sun, or warm water, just anything that can help raise their body temperature, or they might have to use shade if it's too hot outside. But with endotherms, and this is what we are, you can sweat, you can pant, you can shiver if you're cold, your teeth can chatter, you'll sweat. These are all different ways that you can regulate your body temperature by yourself. They can't do this, the ectotherms. So you can think of, with these ones, the most common one is the reptile. And a lot of times we jump right to thinking about reptiles and how that they are ectotherms, and you see them basking in the sun. So that is a good example of what an ectotherm is. Now, an endotherm, this is going to be something like us. They can withstand different climates a lot better than ectotherms can, because we don't need to go sit out in the sun to get warm. We have different ways, again, like shivering, or sometimes even just eating, and you get warmer. Like your body temperature uses that energy from the food in order to keep itself warm. So, yep, this is the lesson that we had, half the lesson that we had today, and I'll do the other one in just a second. But yeah, again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just feel free to email me. And until then, I will talk to you later. All right, take care. Bye.